So today I decided that enough's enough and I handed in my resignation at the company that I am working at the moment. Um, it's basically the product of months of chronic stress, burnout, and talking to management, to the higher ups about the constant unattainable standards that they had set, the workload, and just the culture in general. Obviously, those discussions, when they happened, if they happened, were very diplomatic. There was no sense of me losing my absolute gourd and going, this is bullshit, this is crap. Like, no, I don't know. A lot of the time, throughout the course of these last couple months, it's just felt incredibly hard to keep up with the standards that they set, which felt that they were just shifting constantly. And like a little bit of backstory. So I started at this company maybe about 10 months ago. And initially, what I was hired to do, what I thought I was hired to do, was help them manage a template library for their learning management software, work alongside account directors, and just help them to achieve a level of uniformity. Because at the time of my joining, the library was open to most people to interact with, update, do what they want with. And it turned into a little bit of a Wild West situation in the sense that everyone was creating different templates, different pages, different widgets. And it basically just confused everyone. Like, what's new? What's the latest? What's updated? What's the baseline to use at the moment? And no one knew. So at the time, I was obviously like, onboarding, learning how things worked, started working on those templates, on those libraries. But I noticed that things were starting to look a little bit weird when my role started to shift. You know how they say like you're able to wear many hats in a corporate position. You're gonna have fucking problems if that's what you hear. And that's exactly what happened. It just started changing. The requests became more complex. The timelines for big projects became very tight, sometimes overlapping each other. And every time something like that happened, I'd mention it. I'd go, reach out to my line manager and say that the time that I had wasn't sufficient. The project would suffer as a result, because I don't have time. And time's a very valuable commodity, even outside of business. Like, in fact, much more valuable outside of business. Um, and it just doesn't. It never seemed that it was something that was taken seriously. And over the course of these last couple months, it's just felt difficult to play this balancing act with them, to know what they want, what they need, especially seeing as most of the time I was there, everything felt cloak and dagger. You can't tell anyone anything because if you, the way it felt, the moment you show that there's like weakness on your side in the sense that you need help or the sense that things aren't working the way that they should be, um, instead of trying to find the root of the problem and fix the problem to make processes more efficient, the result was instead to ask more and expect more and not look at a track record of completed projects, times when projects were incredibly tight and delivered on time in good faith. And yeah, as time progressed, I had these discussions with my manager and with the higher ups from time to time about regarding my workload and the workload issues, and things changed and I still had to take responsibility for things that were outside of my hands. So because I was creating sandbox environments, creating this learning management software environments which are separate to the sandboxes, and updating the library and making sure everything's updated and it becomes really hard to keep track of everything. It did become really hard to keep track of everything. And eventually the company outsourced to the learning management libraries that we had. The company that runs them, it's an external company, they outsourced them to start building the libraries outside of my control, or even explaining to me what has been going on, to the point where they looked completely different to what I had created up until then, and to what I'd curated up until then. Pages, master widgets, things that I had built out over time and asked people to use as I kept them updated, were just deleted without my knowledge. No one consulted me, no one asked me, and then I would get ambushed in a meeting having to explain that the pages that are currently being used are not the correct ones. They're not the updated ones. They're not the right ones. And, well, hey, that's news to me, because 3-4 days ago they were there and now they're not. No one told me where they went. No one told me where they had gone. But I have to answer for a mistake that wasn't mine. And the mistakes that were mine, I owned up to. And I made mistakes. I know I made mistakes. The reasoning behind them, you could say it's valid, you could say it's not. But I owned up to them. I took responsibility for them. And everything that I did right was never mentioned, never appreciated. It was just a constant, berating of the things that I've done wrong. And that's very difficult to maintain morale in a situation like that. Like, what do? You know? If you feel that your efforts and your desire to create good things, to work hard, and to really establish a baseline to work off of just aren't working. So what I was tempted to do after about a month ago, when I was put on a PIP, a performance improvement plan. It's more like a paid interview period if you think about it, because from what I've seen, what I've heard, a lot of the times, PIPs are just there to give the company a paper trail and give them legal basis to terminate you and give you fewer ammunition to fight back on that. I was tempted to wait until the PIP would expire at the end of August. A lot of the goals that I was given in the PIP were unattainable, or just too much to expect one person to accomplish, especially with the workload that I'd had, which they had visibility about. Funnily enough, some of the claims made in the first PIP draft that was given to me were just false. They just made up claims that weren't even true. And after going through it and reviewing it, I reached out to my line manager and said, hey, a lot of these claims that have been made are not factual. I actually managed to dismantle quite a fair bit of the PIP that was given to me, proving that a lot of the things that were mentioned just weren't true. Some of them were, 100%. There were 2 projects that I let slip maybe about 4 or 5 months ago out of 100 that I delivered on time. So my track record was higher than 90% delivered on time, but they wanted to focus on the 2 that weren't due to workload and stress, which is fair. And I took responsibility for those and I owned up to it, but they decided to harp on that for a very long time and use that as a baseline for my work ethic going forward, allegedly. Anyways, they decided to give me another performance improvement plan that had removed all the false claims that they had made, and I had no choice but to sign it. So, I mean, obviously, if I didn't sign it, that could just be used to terminate me immediately, saying that I'm willfully deciding not to go on performance improvement. But I signed it because my intention at the time was to wait those 2 months, wait until the performance improvement plan was done, gain 2 months more worth of pay, and then leave. But the problem is that for the last couple of weeks, it's just been getting so hectic. it feels like every day is a new lesson in torture almost. And this is the worst corporate environment I've ever been in. And I've worked some shitty jobs in my life. Like I've worked some stressful jobs, but nothing takes the cake like this one has. You feel very alone the entire time. You feel that you can't turn to anyone in the company, you can't trust anyone in the company, and any time that you may have issues, it's going to be used and weaponized against you. And it just doesn't feel human at all. It feels cold, it feels calculated, it feels like instead of a human resource, we're a profit resource. And if the profit resource isn't making the profit that, or the margins that the company desires, then the resource gets ground down. It gets used, it gets juiced, it gets ground down until there's nothing left, and then it gets let go. Um, and I like to think that I'm quite a resilient person. I've experienced a lot, I've dealt with a lot, and I've grown a lot since I started working at about 18. It's been a long time since then, but there's certain things that just you need to look at it from like a life perspective at times. Like, sure, I could stay another 2 months if I really needed to. If I really needed to, I could spend another 2 months here and pull another 2 months full salary. But you have to ask yourself whether that's worth waking up at night with chest pains or being chronically stressed or turning into a version of yourself that doesn't remind you of you. It makes you feel haggard, it makes you feel disheveled, it makes you feel like cold yourself. And that's not what I would hope anyone wants to be. So I've had a I've had a GPT conversation running for the past 4 months, I think, since things started getting really bad. And I use it to put my thoughts down on paper, shall we say, and just think about the things that I'm thinking outside of my head. Let my fingers type, just get it out there and just think about it. And for the last 4 months, it's been like moving from anger to disappointment to disbelief to just being done, like being gassed. I've got nothing left. What more do they want from me when there's nothing left to give? And it was a hard decision to make. I mean, like I've got a lot of responsibilities. I've got things that I've got people that count on me. I've got things that I need to do, and I've managed to put a fair bit aside. Not a crazy amount, but enough for a couple of months, and that is enough. It's enough for now, and it's not like me leaving with immediate effect is shooting myself in the foot, because there is a bit of a runway, and I have skills, and I like to think that the skills that I've built and the experience that I've built over this time is marketable. And the question is whether I want it to be marketable in another corporate environment, if I want to hop into something that is similar or the same as this shit, hopefully not, or whether I want to start exploring ways that I can monetize that for myself. It just depends on how things go, depends on a little bit of luck, and it depends on, just what I can figure out, what I can learn in this time, what I can hopefully achieve. And it's difficult, like you stay in a shit environment like this, but you got a salary. You know that you're going to suffer throughout the month, but you know that at the end of it, you're going to get what they deem as a fair amount for what you're doing. Just a minor clause over here. What I've been paid is very much not worth what I've been doing. Fuck, it's like, they try and get as much out of you for as little as possible. And like from a cold, calculating and ruthless perspective, sure, I can understand it, but from a human perspective, that's just so fucked up. Like it just feels like profit margins are the only important thing. humans can go fucking suck eggs or some crap. I don't know. But yeah, it's how it turned out. Like it became like it reached a tipping point, especially yesterday. I've been pulled into these meetings, especially with like fucking tight time constraints that I've been having, and I get pulled into these hour-long meetings where it's basically just like a fucking humiliation ritual, like pulling me in and going like, these are the things you've been doing wrong. This is how you've been doing it wrong. Why are you doing it wrong all the time? We need you to be giving 180% constantly, and yeah, I just don't want to do that anymore. I refuse. It's like you reach a point where, getting porked in the Nort is no longer viable, no longer feasible, and you just don't want it. And I don't want it anymore. Like, I'd rather take what skills I have, take what knowledge I have, take what experience I have, and take what capital I have, and try my best to find a way to make it work for me. Find a way to have that effort that I put in equate to the value that I get out. And working in a salaried position, hey, if you find something like that, that's great. Like all the best to you, power to you. Like, I know that places like that do exist. I mean, the world's a big place. There's 100% places like that exist. I haven't found them yet, and I don't know how. I just haven't had the luck in that, and it's tough, I've worked in a bunch of different industries. Like, I've worked retail, I've worked in the bar, did events for a while, worked as a worked as a plumbing apprentice very briefly. That was an experience, Jesus, let me tell you. But again, yeah, I'd rather do that than this. Working with my hands, moving around, no job's the same. Actually being respected as a human, way better, way better. Like, it's not even a fucking competition. Like, this position here is like, instead of working on the sewage pipes, you are the sewage pipe, like, straight up, that is how it is. It's brutal and it's cutthroat, and you're constantly stressed, and the effect and the toll that it's had on me physically, it's reached a point where I refuse to do it any further. So yeah, this morning I decided to hand in my resignation. Asked for them to waive my notice period, because the very thought of just working here for another 2 weeks makes me sick, like sick to my core. And I'm hoping that they just accept it. I'm hoping that it's clean and easy, and just cut ties and leave, because I don't want anything to do with them anymore. And I'm certain there's people out there that have had the exact same experience, or going through the same experience. And the thing is, the funny thing about life is, like, no matter how hard it gets, it carries on. Until something decides to make you depart this mortal coil, you're still going to be here, and you're still going to have opportunities. And you never know what tomorrow brings. You never know what the next month or the next year or the next decade will bring. We've managed to get this far through our wits and wile. So who's to say that we won't get much further on our wits and wile still, Me staying at this company longer would have driven me up the wall. Yeah, I would have earned a bit more pay. But who's to say that if I decided to stay, I wouldn't have a complete, like, manic episode 2 months down the line, You never know. It might not have happened. It might have happened. But the thing is, I know that staying would have been detrimental to my health, as it has been so far. And yeah, unfortunately, money makes the world go around, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my personal relationships, my body, and my mental state for a fucking company, let alone a company that doesn't even respect the people that work for it, or appreciate the people that work for it. So yeah, that's my decision. Sent it through, hoping it's clean and easy, and just thought I would speak a bit about my experience and how it's been and how it's felt this entire time. It's been tough and it's been hard, but this was the correct decision, and I know that without a shadow of a doubt. It's a hard decision. It's always a hard decision. It's never easy, but I think it was the right thing to do. So anyways, that is how my resignation and how my desire to exit this corporate hellscape has been. I think I'm going to take some time to myself, explore some skills that I've been meaning to explore, maybe just fucking live life a little bit. Just fucking do things that I've been wanting to do for a long time and explore my hobbies for a bit, find things that I like to do, and not feel like death at the end of every day. And not just stare at a wall and disassociate for a couple hours, sleep and repeat. And you know, it's just one of those things, but I think I know it's the right decision. And if this story of mine is helpful to you, then that's great. And that makes me feel better. And I hope it just helps people feel that leaving a toxic environment doesn't have to be as hard as it's made out to be. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. And there's always other options. Like, it teaches you skills, it teaches you experience. Life teaches you skills and experience. And the wonderful thing about the human brain is it's incredibly malleable. Like, we can always learn something new, and we can always hustle and figure out a way to make things work until we eventually get to a place where things don't suck as bad. I know it's easier said than done. I know sometimes circumstances can make it really hard, depending on what your life's like. I mean, I'm not married, I don't have kids, so that's a huge amount of responsibility that I don't have that other people might. So I'm speaking from a situation that might not be the exact same as yours, but it's still a cushion, and it's still comforting to know that those people, your people, are there for you. And they always will be. Like, they're there. And it's comforting to know that they'll be there. Family, significant other, children, your people will be there for you. And as tough as it gets, as hard as it gets, our lives are the one that we've been given. We've won the cosmic lottery to be experiencing life the way that we are. And for me personally, I just refuse to spend months, weeks, years of that life in a place that makes me feel awful. So yeah, anyways, that's how it's gone. That's how it's been. I hope the video helps you guys. I hope if this comes across as something helpful to at least one other person, then that's more than enough to make me feel content and happy. But yeah, it is what it is. Maybe I'll do an update video or an update in the next month or so. See how things go. But if you've listened this far, thank you. I appreciate it, and I wish you guys all the best. I know it's hard. I know life can be tough, but we've gotten this far, and I know we can get further. So yeah, go well, and thanks for listening.